How the best baseball card from 1978 overcame its overhyped subject. The 1978 Detroit Tigers must have been a fun bunch to root for. Just 3 years earlier, the Bengals had lost 102 games, but an infusion of young talent at the major league level had catapulted the team into the 500 territory and toward the middle of the standings in the tough old American League East division. The first kids to arrive were slugger Jason Thompson and pitching phenom Mark the Bird Fidrych in 1976. They were followed into the bigs by another smasher, Steve Kemp in 1977, and the image of a winning team started to develop. Bolstered by fellow youngster Dan Meyer and Tom Verizor, as well as veterans like speedster Ron LaFleur, Ben Ogilvy, and Rusty Staub, that 77 club climbed all the way to 74 wins. It wasn't all rosy, as Fidrych went down with injuries twice and looked iffy for the future. But hopes were high that he and the rest of the Tigers could push even further towards the front of the pack in 1978. And although the Bird himself only made 3 starts that summer, Detroit was bolstered by a quartet of rookies who helped them notch an 87-76 record en route to a 5th-place finish. While first place may have seemed a long way off, the team engendered dreams of something much grander among the players and among the fan base. Cram in all the rookies you can. Throughout the 1980s and into the 1990s, the 1978 Topps baseball card set was known for 3 things. It was home to the Eddie Murray rookie card, and Murray was a future Hall of Famer. It was home to Dale Murphy's second-year card, and Murphy was a future Hall of Famer. It was home to dozens of rookie cards of players who were at least good and maybe even great, and it seemed a decent bet that at least one of them would end up in Cooperstown someday. This set was an investor's dream because it had a couple of blue-chip cards, which would increase steadily in value over the decades to come, and it featured a slew of rookies that might pay off really handsomely should one of the involved players go on a mid to late career tear. It's pretty easy to look back now and see how things played out. Murray did his part by slugging more than 500 home runs among his 3,000-plus hits and was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2003. Dale Murphy declined steeply in his 30s and fell well short of Cooperstown. One of those other rookies did go on to a late career tear. His name is Paul Molitor, and he finished with more than 3,000 hits, more than 500 stolen bases, and a .304 batting average that catapulted him into the Hall of Fame in 2004. And even on his own card, Molitor was an afterthought for much of his career. Terrific Tigers. As the longtime Milwaukee Brewer broke down year after year and battled drug problems, fellow 1978 rookie shortstop and rookie card playmate Alan Trammell just kept plugging away for the Tigers. Trammell had been the proverbial slap-hitting middle infielder with that 78 club, but he developed into a strong power bat by the early 1980s and stayed there throughout the rest of his career, which ended in 1996. Next to Trammell throughout a storied run that included a 5-game victory in the 1984 World Series after one of the most dominant regular seasons in history, was second baseman Lou Whitaker. Trammell and Sweet Lou seemed to match each other swat for swat and great play for great play over 2 decades together around the Detroit Keystone, and both spent years at the top of the most lists of Hall of Fame snubs. Unlike Trammell, Whitaker's rookie card is one of those multiplayer beasts/beauties in the 1978 Topps set that made investors drool and Whitaker fans weep. You can barely see his face. Lance Parrish knew the plight all too well, toiling as he did behind the plate for the Tigers from 1977 through 1986. The catcher's face almost never sees the light of day, so Parrish's own quarter rookie card must have seemed like a gosh darn spotlight to the young receiver. That almost surely was not the case for Parrish's frequent battery mate, young Jack Morris, though. Starting pitchers seemed to have a natural penchant for the limelight, and even though the 22-year-old Morris had yet to break through to stardom, he managed to snag 7 starts during that summer of 1978. Yet he, too, was regulated to one of Topps super-duper, super-rookie 4-player masterpieces, rookie pitchers. At one time or another, each of these 4 players looked like they were among the best in the game, and like they had at least a shot at Cooperstown. And yet, each was reduced, and reduced, and reduced to a tiny little corner of his rookie card. Collectors and money guys like the fact that Parrish shared his rookie card with Dale Murphy, and especially that Trammell and Molitor shared their card debut. But when you look back at the magnitude of their careers, the shoddy treatment by Topps was nothing less than ignominy, except have it your way. Topps didn't just issue their base set in 1978. Instead, they teamed up with Burger King to issue 4 sets of 23 cards, each dedicated to a specific Major League team and each distributed throughout restaurants in and around the club's home cities. The 4 teams were the New York Yankees, the Texas Rangers, the Houston Astros, and, wait for it, yes, the Detroit Tigers. And who do you think we find on the Tigers checklist, other than the self-same young gents who would help build the team into a powerhouse? And these guys appeared alone on their Burger King cards. So yes, Virginia, that means we get solo rookie cards of Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, and Jack Morris, thanks to BK and Topps. Have it your way indeed. Sadly, Parrish gets the short shrift here again, but it's really kind of fitting. Of the 4, he was by far the worst when it came to final Cooperstown qualifications. So we can cut Topps some slack for dissing him again, and maybe even congratulate them for the prescience. That still leaves us with 3 still potential or current Hall of Famers with beautiful rookie cards to consider. And spoiler alert, we're going to choose one of them as the best baseball card of 1978. But which one will it be? From my memory of watching them play and my sabermetric money, Trammell has always been the best Hall of Fame candidate among the 3, and he finally got in. Whitaker is the most underrated of the 3 and probably should be in the Hall of Fame. Morris is the most overrated easily of the 3 and doesn't really belong in Cooperstown to me. He was really good at racking up some nice totals, but it's something like 150th best starting pitchers ever. This, however, is about baseball cards. Star status and Hall of Fame prospect go into consideration, but so do aesthetics and coolness. And here, well, Trammell looks like he's in pain or angry. The Whitaker shot is pretty solid. He's looking slyly to our left, and the stadium looms behind him. Still, there is something in his stretch that says indigestion, and the photo angle is weird. Then we have Jack Morris, Mr. Most Wins in the 1980s. The angle is weird here too, but Morris is following through on an obvious pose shot, and it's closer to real action than the other 2. And, by golly, the baseball in the upper right-hand corner that shows Morris's position, P, looks like it just flew out of his hand. He's also glaring at us, and sitting here in the 2020s, we know the same intensity will become part of his stock in trade. These 3 cards are like a secret treasure that toppled out of your hamburger bag just as you were about to throw it away. All of them are super cool, but Morris's is just a bit super cooler than the others. It's the best baseball card from 1978, even if Morris wasn't the best pitcher of the 1980s, or in any time period.